Just about every X-Men movie heavy is coming back to torment Deadpool and Wolverine this summer. We've got Toad, Pyro,
God, I love this part!
Lady Deathstrike, Azazel, wow that one's a surprise. It's going to be a hoot watching the Healing Factor Kings claw and stab this lot repeatedly.
I am soaking wet right now.
But of course, there is one key Wolverine rogue that was missing from the trailer, but their confirmation in the movie is an open secret. Perhaps Wolverine's #1 personal arch nemesis.
Sabertooth.
Sabertooth.
Sabertooth is back, and I'm sure he and Wolverine are going to have a satisfying throwdown on screen once again. But to be honest, I am a little disappointed, because set photos have confirmed that this Sabertooth will be the X-Men 1 version, as originally played by professional wrestler turned actor Tyler Mane. Jury's out on whether Mane is back or whether this is actually a lookalike. I see why they went with this version. The whole movie is trading on nostalgia. It feels like they systematically went through all the old movies, including even things like First Class, and selected the best sub-villains to serve Cassandra Nova, and the original X-Men 1 Sabertooth is pretty comic book accurate in his look. Tyler Mane had a big mane, the orange-brown tattered outfit, the big brows, the teeth, he looked great. However, this Sabertooth is the single most one-dimensional version. His characterization barely goes beyond growling and getting punked by everyone, from Magneto to Storm to Wolverine to Cyclops twice. He has a pretty decent fight scene with good old Logan atop the Statue of Liberty, but beyond that, he has like one memorable line.
You owe me a scream.
Barely memorable. I probably only remember it because I watched the first two movies on repeat back in the day. It's hardly an all-timer villain line. And I just think that's such a shame. Granted, Magneto's doing most of the Machiavellian heavy lifting in the first movie, but Sabertooth is a full-time Wolverine hater in the comics. This guy tracks Logan down on every single birthday just to try and kill him. This guy knows no limits to haterism. Hell, this variant of Sabertooth got more lines in the X-Men 3 tie-in game entitled X-Men The Official Game. But aside from that, probably non-canon adventure, he never comes back during the events of the original X-Men trilogy at all.
Well, look at you. Well, if I were you, I'd get comfortable. Something tells me you're gonna be here for a while.
X-Men Origins Wolverine, released a whole 9 years later, sought to give the series another stab at Sabertooth. This movie as a whole, it sucks. We all know it sucks major arse. Tonally, it's so confused. Jackman said at the time that he wanted this to be the most brutal version of Wolverine we ever saw, but any semblance of brutality is clipped by the awful hammy dialogue and PG-13 rating.
Yeah, right.
What? I get in fights with everybody?
Don't dogs kill cats?
That's a nice stick.
Ooh! It's not just me that finds that head tilt so incredibly cringe. Ugh, it curls my toes just looking at it.
There's plenty of cringe here, plenty of X-Men characters brought to life in a misshapen manner. Deadpool makes sense here, as he was part of Weapon X, but of course was infamously adapted into a non-speaking Baraka ripoff.
Wait, is that you? Your striker finally figured out how to shut you up.
Hey, it's me!
It's kind of crazy that this upcoming threequel is the second Deadpool Wolverine movie. I almost completely forgot he was in Origins, even in his wisecracking red outfit form, which strays a tad closer to what the character is supposed to represent.
Stuck in an elevator with 5 guys on a high-protein diet. Oh, word. Dreams really do come true.
It makes sense he's here, but then why the hell is Gambit here? He has nothing to do with anything. Why on earth is Will.i.am here? Will, meet me halfway. Try and deliver the lines with some gusto. Let's get it started in here.
John,
We hunted our own kind, Logan. There's a special place in hell for the things we did.
Oh well, I'm sure he had the time of his life. Lady lumps.
What you gonna do with all that junk? All that junk inside my trunk? Get you drunk off my lady, huh?
The thing that still pisses me off to this day is the fact that we had this dark and gritty representation of Weapon X and Stryker in X-Men 2, and in this movie, they decided to completely redesign the base and the lab where Wolvie gets the adamantium, and it looks infinitely worse. Why make it a prequel if you're just going to redesign it all? It's just one of the many reasons why this movie to me is a completely different multiverse timeline to most of the other X-Men movies.
This time travel crap just fries your brain like an egg.
Don't even get me started on the thinly sketched love interest, the bub.
Did you just call me Blob?
No, I said bub. Anyway, there's also the terrible adamantium bullets, a way to circumvent Wolverine losing his memory directly after the procedure in the dumbest way possible.
His brain may heal, but his memories won't grow back.
The only stuff that I think is in any way legit with this movie is the stuff with Sabertooth. Tyler Mane was great in the role and certainly looked the part more than Origins' Lev Schreiber, but I think it's fair to say Schreiber is the more nuanced actor with far greater range. Casting him opposite Jackman was a great move. It meant that the pair could have, I don't know, actual conversations and a real hero-villain dynamic. It meant that we could finally get a Sabertooth with teeth. I think he has a great look too, foregoing the brown hues for blacks with a killer long trench coat. He doesn't have the classic look at all, but I think within the context of the movie world, he looks great. I like that he has less flamboyant hair, a no-nonsense short trim, and thick sideburns that ape the look of his abusive father, communicating that in spite of hating him, he grew up to be exactly like him. He looks like a dark mirror to Wolverine here. The opening scene kind of sets up the reason why these characters have different outlooks on life. Logan, aka James, Jimmy, clearly grew up in luxury in spite of his ailments, whilst Victor was clearly abused by his biological father. James's powers manifest as an act of avenging his dad and protecting his mother from said real dad. As they grow up, it's clear that Victor's scars never heal, and he has a fixation to dominate and commit violence on anyone who stands in his way. I've got to say, I don't actually mind them being brothers. In fact, I think it makes a lot of sense to me, and it's an easy way of tying them together from the start. They do have exactly the same powers, to the point it is kind of weird and highly coincidental that they end up on two opposing teams the way they do. Hell, Chris Claremont toyed with making Sabertooth Wolverine's father, which is funny because he debuted the same year Vader did.
I am your father.
Basically, a familial connection makes sense to me. I don't think it robs Wolverine or Sabertooth of their identities, because they're Mario and Luigi palette swaps anyway. For a 2-hour movie adaptation, I think it's a smart way to streamline things and explore their dynamic. I'd still be down to explore Sabertooth as Wolverine's father in some kind of comic or show or movie. I dig it. I'm sure someone is rushing to the comments right now to tell me that is sacrilege. It's worth them being brothers for the opening sequence alone, which see the pair as soldiers through multiple wars in American history. This was a great way of speedrunning through all the bloodshed the pair had endured over the years, and it simply provides us with some cool visuals. Seeing Sabertooth storm the beaches during World War II, the pair in Nam, it's a cool opening sequence. It's also pretty badass to end with the pair facing not death by firing squad.
Wake me when it's over.
I like the nonchalant, badass characterization of this Sabertooth. It's day and night compared to the Sabertooth in X-Men 1. It's clear across the movie that this version just has a lot more presence than his predecessor. The scene where he murders Mary is full of the same silly dialogue from the rest of the movie, but a great actor like Schreiber can sell it with his physicality alone. He's legitimately intimidating, and it's a nice touch when he unscrews the bulb, completely unfazed at the prospect of being burnt. I also just have to appreciate a villain that is just loving life. It's always entertaining to watch. He's playful as much as he is deadly.
You got insurance in this place? You don't call. You don't write. Too bad.
Ooh, shiny.
Ooh, shiny.
He's also got that full-time hater vibe that the comics and animated series captured. This Sabertooth kills Logan's girlfriend, or at least appears to, and then taunts the hell out of the Wolverine afterwards before handing his arse to him. None of the fights in the movie are very long. Another thing that's hellishly disappointing, the helicopter chase is probably the best sequence in the whole film, but I do think we get some decent moments with Wolverine versus Sabertooth. I love seeing the brutality of Victor stomping Wolverine's claws out, and it's a satisfying reversal post-adamantium to see that Sabertooth is no longer top dog. I do feel like this Sabertooth is just as smart and as deadly as Wolverine, whereas the original version felt like a dumber, albeit still savage counterpart to the X-Men. He manages to bring out the best, worst in Wolverine during the course of what is otherwise a miserable and dull movie. Hell, I even think his dog running all fours kinda works. Who did it better, Victor Creed or Professor X? I wish we had gotten to see this Victor in an R-rated space, and it's annoying that he was absent from both Logan and the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine, because both opportunities would have allowed us to see what he could really do.
Shouldn't have done that, 'cause now I'm gonna kill you.
Why the hell does John Rafe think he can box Sabertooth to death? Even without the healing factor, what are some bare fists going to do to this guy? The best scene with Victor comes at the end. Realising Stryker is about to back out of their deal, he loses his temper and demands the adamantium process his brother received.
Can't beat him.
Give me the adamantium.
We had a deal.
Would never survive the operation.
I just love that. Victor has always felt a huge inferiority complex to Logan.
He felt like you abandoned him. Victor, he had to prove he was better than you.
He always wants his attention, his validation, and he's a character that bullies and murders his way into getting what he wants.
I can take anything he can.
No, you can't.
He is powerless here. He cannot get the procedure. He knows Stryker is hitting him with the facts. He can't survive what his little brother can. He'll never be able to have the adamantium he craves. The power he craves. For once, someone tells him no, and there's nothing he can do with all of his strength.
Nothing to do with all your strength.
He even kind of retroactively makes the original non-verbal henchman version of Sabertooth a little bit better. This whole movie poses the question, is Logan a person or a mere animal? It doesn't explore this well, but it poses the question, alright? Well, if Victor is his dark mirror, it's clear that beyond this, he does become the animal. He gives into his base instincts and leaves a lot of his humanity behind over the course of the following 30 plus years. This makes his appearance in X-Men 1 quite a bit darker. Logan can't remember him because of the experimentation and torture he suffered at the hands of Stryker. Victor can't remember because he destroyed himself. Of course, you could also see these two as variant versions of the same character, especially from the fact that Lev Schreiber was going to be in Logan and he probably would have been speaking, and that is set after X-Men 1, but I digress. All in all, make no mistake, X-Men Origins Wolverine still sucks ass, it still sucks ass today, but there is one glimmer of greatness in it, and that is Sabertooth. I think for me, the movie's biggest crime is that there is no greater purpose for Wolverine's memory loss, other than the fact it has to tie into the later movies. There is no interesting theme at play with this, there is no lamentation of what it means for this character. He can't die, and yet he does kind of bite it at the end. This version of him ceases to be, and he never quite gets that back in the later movies. It should be the core idea at the heart of this story, the tragedy that Wolverine will lose anything good he had before Weapon X. Instead, him losing his memories kinda helps him, no? He basically gets an eternal sunshine of the spotless mind job with his girlfriend, as he never has to grieve the loss of her or her betrayal, he just immediately forgets about her. I feel like the whole movie should be about the metaphorical death of this guy that can live forever. What does it mean for him to lose his memories if he can keep on living but it's not the same version of him? He does in essence die here. Nothing meaningful is explored. If this movie didn't have to tie into later X-Men movies, he could have just walked off into the sunset with Silver Fox and the movie would have barely felt any different. In a series that had its ups and downs, X-Men Origins Wolverine is almost universally seen as a low point, and with good reason.
Cuckoo got screwed.
The saving grace of the whole thing is that it's cringe enough and full of enough chaotic action that I probably would choose to watch it over a fair few other superhero projects. If you can't be good, at least avoid being boring, right? Liev Schreiber's Sabertooth very nearly appeared in Logan, and I still think that was a huge missed opportunity. The actor and the character were worthy of better material, and given the fact it was Jackman's supposedly last stint as Wolverine, it would have made sense to give their relationship some kind of closure. He was set to appear in the casino sequence, but it never happened, and Schreiber maintains it never got to the stage where he was actually approached. So all in all, it's doubly sad to me that given the nature of Deadpool and Wolverine, this variant of Sabertooth isn't popping up. Schreiber would have killed it in the role, and it would have been good to get this iteration in a better movie. Instead, I think we're going to get another largely non-verbal, brutish Sabertooth with none of the nuance from the comics that makes the character interesting. There's a lot going on with Deadpool and Wolverine, so it's not too much of a problem with the movie as a whole, but if we're doing a who's who of Wolverine and X-Men villains, I would have loved to have seen this guy alongside the likes of Deathstrike, Azazel, Toad, Pyro, the list goes on. Liev Schreiber. Conweary. I don't think I'm alone in saying it would be great to see you back as Sabertooth. Hell, with Jackman all but confirmed to have a huge role in Secret Wars, maybe that would be a good time to see him hunt Weapon X once more. You could even get an hour with Diane Sawyer. He did fight Black Suit Spider-Man in the comics. Maybe that previously proposed Tobey Maguire-Hugh Jackman team-up could have a three-way fight with good old Sabertooth. That would be pretty sweet. What do you think? Is the Liev Schreiber Sabertooth the best adaptation of Sabertooth? Do you prefer the X-Men 1 iteration? What do you hope to see from the character in Deadpool and Wolverine? And does the oft-mocked X-Men Origins Wolverine have any other redeeming qualities to your mind? Let me know in the comments below. Next up, very good X-Men movie instead. Perhaps the last great X-Men movie.
This video was actually released early on Patreon, so if you want goodies like that, or the Full Fat podcast weekly with me and Charlie going through things like X-Men 97, we'll eventually be going through things like Doctor Who, The Boys, or other goodies, or you just want to support the channel and keep it going, especially when the views are fluctuating, then please consider joining up for a membership at Patreon, at patreon.com/fullfatvideos. You can contribute as little as $3 a month for a lot of goodies, or you could be one of my Full Fat tier patrons. As always, a big thank you to TDW Fan and Dr. Chike for keeping the lights on, for being my Full Fat tier patrons. Thank you very much.